Hi, folks. We're just getting started. Welcome along to our phone in. I've got John just about to join us, Colin's just about to dial in as well, and then we'll start bringing our guests on. I imagine we've got plenty to talk about tonight. Hibs released a statement last night from the board saying a full review is going to be undertaken. So we'll get everybody's views on that. Some new faces joining us tonight as well. Unfortunately, I couldn't get hold of one of them for myself, which I would have liked. John, you're on mute just now. If you want to take yourself off mute, how the devil are you, mate?
I'm good. I'm good. I got a message from you just before, for the benefit of the listeners and viewers and what have you, to say, can you join with your camera off? So then as I've joined with my camera off, you've then started referencing me, and I'm sitting there awkwardly like, did I come off mute? Did I get involved? So, but here we are,
How's your
and
day
I'm
been?
good. Productive. I had a really nice walk with the dog at lunchtime. I just put the bear to bed, so aye, it's nice. And I had an exam yesterday. Don't know how it went, but I'm in that place where the exam is behind me, so I've got a wee bit more headspace to think about stuff, which is probably bad news for people.
No, not at all. Not at all. Right, let's bring Colin in as well. I just had a wee message just to say somebody's having a wee bit difficult getting on, so I'm just going to quickly ping them a message. Just
So are
see
we
if we can do it.
currently live on YouTube?
We are live now. Hi, Colin. How's it going? You want to bring yourself off of there we go, off the mute. And how you doing, Colin? We're
I'm all
live.
right. We're live on Channel 4.
We're live on
You're on
Channel 4.
YouTube.
Don't say fucker bugger.
I'm all right.
Was it fucker bugger? Was the ones that she used to go with for that on
I think she's good. I was
That's how I
listening to
remember it.
right.
I was listening to a podcast today, right? And we allowed to start talking.
Yeah. Go. We're
Aye,
live. Go ahead.
aye. And it was Top Like Time Machine, where the old boss Sandalini, and he was talking about that was Golden Sunday when that used to be on. There was some woman, you couldn't remember the woman name's presenter. She was presenting it, and there was an ex-West Ham player. I also can't remember the name of it. Who they were pressing for a story, and they said, "What did the goalie Les Sealy? What did he teach you?" He said, "I taught me loads of things, something like I can't say in that." Like, no, tell us. And he basically went, he taught me how to know be a CUNT, right? So he spelled it out on live on Goals on Sunday because he got suspended
You're joking
for
for spelling it.
for no stopping him. It's like, what the fuck? How can you do that? He's not actually saying cunt. You know what I mean? He's actually no. And well, aye. How was he meant to? How was she meant to stop that? Like,
Aye.
incredible.
What can you do? Right, I'm going
Interesting
to
story.
open the doors and see who we've got. So there's a different crowd from last week. So let's see as we invite everybody to join. Good evening, people, and thank you all for joining on mute, which I think everybody's done, which is what we asked for. Which lets us keep a bit of order into things. And we'll do some introductions and then we'll get cracking on with the show. So I'll start my top right. Charlie, how are you doing, mate? Long time no see in these situations.
I'm good, mate. I wish it was in better circumstances. I'm on talking about Hibs, but I'm all right apart from that.
Well, what could be better than coming on to talk about the Hibs? We also got Tracy Smith. Tracy, how are you doing? Long time no see. Also,
yeah, I'm doing good, thanks.
Good.
Thought I'd make a wee change and come on.
Well, you're very welcome, as always. I don't think you've been on since, I was going to say since the Quick Bang days, but we've not done these since the Quick Bang days. So nobody's been on since then, apart from the folk that turned up last week. So
Did Tracy no start a sing song on Quick Bang once upon a time?
Was I not in a caravan after one of the semi? Was it not after the semi-final? And I was in a caravan.
I forget the game, but
you
were definitely in high spirits.
Excellent. Jeff, how are you doing? You're on mute, Jeff. You need to come off mute to talk to us. There we go.
I had to update the app and it sent me back a bit, but yeah, I'm fine, thank you. Good. And how's the weather in the lakes? Is it decent? Raining now, but it's not been a bad day considering.
Fair dues. get the important stuff out of the way first.
Yeah.
James, you're next on the screen. I don't think we've met before, James, have we?
We haven't, nope. I'm just hoping this is working because this laptop's a bit old.
I'm not sure, James, because it looks like you're sitting in front of a set of Hearts curtains. So I'm not sure if it is working correctly.
The rest of the room is actually bright green. It's just
Good.
to kind of offset the colours. So yeah, I did look at it. I was going, "Oh, that's Jambo colours. Can't I have that?"
We'll just put it down to the lighting.
Yes.
Ian as well. Ian, nice to see you again. It's been, I think, many years since you and I spoken back in the Let's Work Together days. How are you doing?
Exactly, yeah. We're enthusiastic about it as well. And it's funny because with the colours, I'm actually colourblind, and I travel with 2016 every week, and I have actually been on 2016 bus with my own jumper on. So,
well, it makes you got light on.
Well, funnily enough, there was a Rangers scarf on it for a few weeks as well. You know.
Oh, jeez.
Nice to see you all.
And Leon just joining later as well. Leon, good to see you. You made it on, mate. How are you doing? You're also on mute as well, buddy. There we go.
I've got my headphones, but they're not working, so fuck knows.
All right, well, good start. We can hear you fine. And then we lost call. This happens at the start of every episode, right? You don't always see it. Normally being John and Colin will have a wee chin wag for a few minutes, and Colin's internet kicks him out, and then he'll be back, and then it'll kick him out again, and then he'll come back. And normally by the time we start recording, it's we're good to go.
It's every time somebody's joined the night that's happened.
Is it?
Aye.
So do you want to lock the door and no let anybody else on?
Aye.
Okay, right, and we've got Dave Graham watching. He says, boo. John McGlynn says, hiya, and Lon Easton said, there's a murmur in the air, and I can feel it. Brilliant. Right, who wants to... Well, I'll tell you what, we'll go in the order that we started off. If I just ask everybody, just for the some general housekeeping, if you just stay on mute until you get called upon. If you want to butt in and interject on somebody's point, there is a wee raise hand function on Zoom. If you do that, I'll bring you in as quickly as I can. And so, Charlie, you were first person that we introduced, so I will come to you first. And what's your point, caller? I think that's how it goes for these phone in. What's your point, caller? Were you at the game?
I was at the game on Saturday. I think the main thing I wanted to talk about tonight was just the open letter, I guess Hibs are branding it as, from last night, and I was just a bit confused, to be honest, because I've spoke to Monty, said the results haven't been good, but I'm not entirely convinced that means he's safe. I think realistically, I think they basically gave him an ultimatum, win 3 of the next 5 basically, or you're out the door, which is a bit concerning for me, and I might be completely wrong, but I just think they've gave him an ultimatum, win the next 3 or you're out.
So what part of the statement led you to believe that, Charlie? I've got this statement here. We'll just quickly run through because I would imagine everybody's seen it by now. So the statement for the board says, like all Hibs supporters, we believe that a club with our stature should, as an absolute minimum, finish in the top 6. Ending the season in the bottom 6 is simply unacceptable. That was going to be a Tina Turner song as well, but I didn't feel that one was going to go quite as well. In the aftermath of Saturday's draw with Motherwell, we came together to understand what happened this season and what are the necessary steps to move the club forward. With that in mind, we will conduct a full review of the club's football structure in conjunction with Black Knight Football Club. The review will be a comprehensive evaluation of the entire football operation to ensure we perform at the highest level. We have also held detailed discussions with Nick Montgomery to understand what has gone wrong during the current campaign and mutually agreed that the results this season have been disappointing. There's an understanding that results need to improve. Considerable progress has been made at the club off the pitch over the last 12 months. That being said, we want to assure supporters that on-pitch progress and performance are at the forefront of our minds. We understand that this needs to be addressed urgently, and the experience provided by our new partner, Black Knight Football Club, will help us improve in all areas. Lastly, we would like to thank every single one of you for your support throughout this incredibly challenging campaign. Your backing has been unwavering, and the club is extremely grateful. We will continue to work tirelessly to deliver results our supporters can be proud of. Hibernian FC Board of Directors. It's interesting to say that they mutually agreed that results had been disappointed, as if there was like an option to say, I thought they were all right. Surely, I can't imagine that came up. So Charlie, you reckon from that there's an ultimatum being issued? Talk to me about that.
I just think the whole idea of there's an understanding results need to improve. Like, I know it's probably mathematically that we're safe for relegation playoffs, but it's also no confirmed. And I just think if we lose the first two in the split, then we are probably looking at the possibility of another butcher scenario, which obviously none of us want. But from that, I think where the board are saying that there's an understanding that results need to improve, I think they've said to him, look, we need to finish the season on a relative high, although being in the bottom six isn't a high at all.
What did you think when that statement came out last night? What was your initial reaction to it?
It seems like they're taking it seriously. That's 2 bottom sixes in 3 seasons, which for a club of our size is not good enough. And I think that they're leaning on the Black Knights as a big help as well. I think Foley's probably got people in mind that if things do change, he'll bring in. So I think it is positive that they're looking to use that avenue, but it's also a bit concerning that it's another transition, pretty much. We're in another transition season. If people leave, people stay, it's just going to be hopefully no as bad a season as this one, but I just think it's going to be another transitional one next season.
Colin, I'm going to bring you in here. What do you think to Charlie's points there?
I'd heard that rumour the day as well about the 3 wins. I think came where that rumour came from, who made it up, but it's definitely flying about. But I think they needed to make the statement. Folk were asking for it. I think they've done it. But my first thought, I think I don't know if I'm answering your question. I'm answering the question I want to answer.
You answer that question. Go for it.
When the first thought when I seen it last night was, that's because we fucking said that on Saturday night when we recorded it. So they've just appeased us. They've went, what they're fucking moaning about? Just it. Because that's exactly what we said. Get the Black Knights to fucking do the review, and they're doing it. So I think it's the right thing to do. Like I didn't see why we wouldn't. Like, I was listening to you saying the statement there, but did they mention? I can't remember. Like the off-field stuff, the off-field stuff, everything's cool, right? Everything's good. We're doing well, right? So we'll fix the on-field stuff now, and we've got a team of experts that have invested in us. Tell us how to do it right, and that's how I see it. So I think it's the right thing to do, and I don't necessarily think that it means Montgomery's away. And I don't think I doubt they would have said 3 out of 5. As much as I heard the rumour, I doubt that's true.
Okay. Charlie, thanks for that. Just hang about, we'll bring you back in later. Tracy, I'll come to you next. How are you feeling about things just now?
Well, I didn't get to go to the game on Saturday because my friend decided to get married. I mean, Connor, honestly, who gets married during the football season? And everybody, luckily, the bride was late, so we managed to get really most of the game because everybody was on their phones checking it. So we didn't tell him till later. So then he'd had a few drinks that we could break the news that we weren't in top 6. But yeah, statement, I thought, first paragraph, great. Exactly. Top 6 is where we should be, club of our stature. We are we always claim we've got the 5th biggest budget. That may be better now that we've got the investment. But that's what we've always claimed. So we should always be in the top 6, and that's what we'll probably always budget for as well. So at the moment, we're 125 grand down, just being between 6th and 7th, according to what the table says. But that could be more. So we're already down. So again, that's not acceptable because that's money coming into the club. I felt Nick Montgomery was kind of getting chucked under a bus. He's the only one that got mentioned. If I was Nick Montgomery, I wouldn't have a lot of confidence in that because maybe they've discussed it with him, his future and what's happening. I don't know. But that statement doesn't give me, we are fully behind Nick Montgomery and we want to give him a chance to see what he can do in the summer. He's come into a bit of a mess and has had a lot to do. You can tell they've made great signings in January. Okay, it's not taking us to top 6, but you can tell the quality's there as well. So there has been some good recruitment. I think as a whole at the club, you know, the commercial department, yeah, they work hard to make the commercial side great, but that also gives money to the football department. So as a whole, I think the whole club should be taking accountability, and everything should be getting reviewed, not just the football department. And why just this season? In 2.5 years, we've had 4 managers plus Dave and Eddie chucked in between. Any job outside of football, you've got 4 different managers coming in, all giving you different instructions, bringing in their own staff, bringing in, it'd be players, different cultures. Maybe that member of staff's pushed you out. You know, anybody would struggle with that. So there's a lot of people sometimes take longer to adapt to change than others. So there's lots of different things that I think come into it. So it's not just this season. I feel that we're falling short. Last year we were lucky getting to 5th, and it was only because Celtic won the cup that we got into Europe. So we needed a helping hand again. So I think it's not just this season that needs reviewed. I think it's all of it. I think, you know, as a club, we need to look at ourselves as well, because we're falling short. Yeah, okay, off the pitch is great, but you know, the loyal fans and that we pay our money to obviously see what's on the pitch. And that's why I get people are frustrated. Sometimes if you get to see what goes on in the background, you can probably appreciate things a little bit better. But as a supporter turning up, they can only go by what they see on the pitch on a Saturday. So I totally get why people are frustrated. I do think some people need to reel it in a bit as well, and all this abuse and the rest of it that goes with it needs to stop as well. Players are human beings. Nobody goes out to lose a game of football. But I think there's probably more things than just, you know, what's happening on the pitch as well. But I think that's all down to what's been happening over the years in all different scenarios that comes into it. Mental health, probably what's been seen on social media, that's got to affect players as well. Also the review with Black Knight, you know, they're quite new to football as well. They've only been in football since 2022. So, okay, maybe it brings a fresh approach because they've been involved with obviously the hockey over in the US, and I think sometimes the Americans do sport so much better than us and so much bigger. So they might bring a fresh approach. Obviously, they've got Bournemouth in the Premier League, so that it, you know, that kind of top level down south, and they're making slow progress. But yeah, I just think, you know, someone's got to, you know, it's got to be more than Nick Montgomery taking accountability for what's been happening this season and over the last 2.5 years.
Would you
Sorry,
like to
I've rabbled on.
No, that's all right. I always say these things are boring if nobody talks. Like that's the whole point of getting folk on. Would you say, Tracy, would you like to have seen a stronger backing for Montgomery there, or the flip side, a clearer, this is what he needs to do to stay message from it? What would you like to have seen there?
Yeah, because I don't think it shows a togetherness as well. And I think at the moment the club needs that. We all need to pull together, supporters, club. I feel kind of far away from the club. I felt Leanne and George did a lot of work when we got relegated to bring everybody kind of back together. And I feel, and it might just be, you know, the change in managers constantly and everybody not really knowing what's happening and things. There's been a lot of things to get excited about, but I feel they're mostly off the pitch as well that we've been able to get excited about. But yeah, I just feel that it'd be more a togetherness if they had kind of backed him. I wanted Nick Montgomery. I thought he was a new manager. You know, he didn't have the best first season over in the A-League, but second season he did. And sometimes it does take a while for people to adapt to the Scottish game. They're not always going to hit the ground running. And I do think he probably came into more issues than maybe we'll realise. And then he's only had the January transfer window, which is never a great window. But I still feel he could do a job for us. And I just think it would have shown a little bit more togetherness, I think, from the club to back him that little bit better.
Oh, John, you had sort of backed Nick Montgomery and well, still back Nick Montgomery and an advocate for giving him time. Do you think the statement went far enough for your point of view to back him?
No, I thought the statement was shite, to be perfectly frank. I thought if the club were going to make the statement that they needed to make, if the club were going to make a statement of that nature, I thought it needed to be meaningful and it needed to be clear. So I think Charlie and Tracy touched on the comments about, or Tracy specifically mentioned Montgomery being named, and Charlie talked about what might be expected of him between now and the end of the season. And immediately after the statement, so I just saw a number, like several different interpretations of the comments around Mick Montgomery. That was the point that I made, or that was the point I was getting at with regards to being clear, because no one's any clearer on what the future for the manager is, like his supporters and probably the man himself. Like, I appreciate there will have been conversations behind the scenes, but if nothing else, that kind of, and I think the thing that people might come away from is, well, in fact, I don't know. It's still really, really open. Like, is he going to be manager at the end of the season and going into the next season, or are they gearing up to let him go? Because I think even this week we've heard, like since that statement was released, that there's maybe a meeting at the training centre on Friday. So for me, the statement was just a lot of bluster about nothing, about appeasing people. And I thought the comment with regards to the off-the-field success was an error in judgment. I don't think it really captured the tone of the supporters. It was almost like a reinforcement and a distancing of certain individuals at the club.
It's like they read the room, isn't it? Like nobody's bothered about the commercial success of the club now. Like, we want to see a winning team, and for all the talk about it, and you have to acknowledge it. But most people would acknowledge that things have improved there. But you can't have 2 bottom 6 finishes in 3 seasons and start shouting about commercial successes. There's just nobody's interested.
It feels to me like it feels like it's missing the point, because, and I think I talked about it on the previous episode, that how long does that carry any weight? For me, like it's significant, because as Tracy described, that's the off the field income will go into the playing department. But if the playing department, if you're continually getting that wrong, well, so what? And if the playing department continues to go wrong and the club slip lower and lower down the league, how much commercial success can you continue to bring in? That's my concern.
Yeah, because it'll definitely impact. Jeff, I'll come to you next. Loads of people were saying the club need to say something. I was one of them. I was like, they can't say nothing. You either have to back them or sack them. That was kind of the stance that I took. When you saw the statement, what were your views on it, and what did you think?
Very similar to Charlie and Tracy. It reeked to Ben Kensel saying, "Whoa, off the field's great." Names Nick Montgomery, but doesn't give a time frame on how long he's got to turn it round, which it could be good or bad depending on your viewpoint. But he's left the door open for saying, "Well, the next results are shit. We'll get rid of him." If you had a boss like Ben Kensel, you constantly watching your back. I know he's done great things off the field. I've met him a couple of times, and I just think, I wouldn't want to work for him. However, the statement was needed. I think it could have been a lot better. It could have been, as you say, read the room about the stuff off the pitch. Everybody knows the stuff off the pitch is going great. They didn't have to re-emphasize that. I don't think there's a fan who gets messages from them or watches social media. So I feel sorry for Nick Montgomery. We've all slated him for some of his substitutions, game management. But he was dealt a bad hand come the winter break, where he lost a lot of players. Clearly hadn't anticipated that when the transfer window back in the summer. So he was, hindered by that. But the statement was poor. I thought it could be a lot better. Either back him properly or don't mention about. We all know things have got to improve. It's like the bear shit in the woods.
The reviews, I suppose we were talking about the statement and the tone and the content of it, but underpinning that is the confirmation of a review. I would guess that this review was happening irrespective of a top or bottom 6 finish, right? And I would have hoped that the review happened the morning after the AGM where everybody voted, well, the majority folk voted for the investment to go ahead. Do you think it would have helped matters, Jeff, if the club had been sort of open early doors to say, you know, we know we need help, and we've gone to the Black Knights for this help?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've posted somewhere that if there hadn't been a review going on, then that's clearly amateurish. As soon as the Black Knights were involved, I'm sure they were reviewing everything anyway. The bottom six finish has probably accelerated the process and the information given to the fans and the media about what's going on. And attached to that is the Nick Montgomery situation, which I think might have been up in the air anyway at the end of the season, given Foley's involvement. I'm still sitting on the fence as regards Montgomery. You know, there's been some poor performances. The players have got to take their share of the blame, but if you can't beat St Johnstone at home and hold on to a lead with 30 seconds to go, then you know things need to be said. It's not about not knowing the Scottish game. That's about game management.
Colin, what do you expect to see for the review? What would you expect to see come out of that?
Well, it depends it depends what they find. What I expect to see would be, I'd like to know, right, as we said at the week, or as I said at the weekend, we've changed the manager, I don't know how many times in the last 6 years, 8 years, whatever, right? Probably as many or more years than that. There's more managers as years. And nothing changes. So there's something else that's the problem. So I don't know what that is. So I'd like to maybe identify what that issue is, whether it's how they identify players or the budget that they've got for that, or the person that's identifying the players, or the whole system that's the whole scouting system that needs revamped. I don't know, but it's got to be something that's, because we've seen by changing managers 5 times since Jack Ross has left. It's the same old shite every year. Because as much as last year we made the top 6 and all, we got into Europe, it was almost a like for like season to now. It was just a point different or something. You know what I mean? Like there's not much of a difference for last season. So it's shit after shit after shit, and that can't always just be the manager.
Can you imagine if they did the review and they came out and just said, the problem is we need more sponsors?
We need an extra hospitality box.
James, thanks for patiently waiting there. How are you feeling about stuff?
I'm confused. I mean, I thought the statement was stating the obvious. I mean, try to find something that's not already been said. But I think it should have went further, and it should have backed Nick Montgomery one with the other. We've got Foley, who is known for pulling the trigger if somebody's underperforming. So by this statement, does that mean he's got more time next season, or the start of next season at least? Let him continue building? I don't know. It's woolly, and I just wish we'd actually back somebody. Hibs seem to be very reactionary recently, last few years. It's always afterwards, everything's kind of down the line. I mean, them across the road have already signed players for next year. We've done nothing, and we know we need half a squad, or probably nearly a full squad. So why are we not making noises, say we're bringing these players in, just actually, so we're backing, we're getting the club moving, but at the moment it just seems we're static. And if we are going to change manager, do it now. Don't give these 5 games. What's the point? Start planning for next season. This season's done for us. Plan for next season now. Players are going to stay. They play for the next 5 games. Those that are going out the door, just get them gone. And one thing I hope they do is give Lewis Stevenson his 3 games. Just a bit of Hibs class. I don't care how they do it. Just last home game, make sure that's the 600th, you know.
That's always going to be a non-negotiable, that one, isn't it? You would think there's absolutely zero reason not to do that.
The way it is, if we were pushing for Europe and it was touch and go, I can maybe see an argument for, sorry, Lewis, but we need the first 11 out here. But now, Ross County are not going to win their 5 games, neither St Johnstone. So let's just get the side settled, who's staying, who's going, and just be blunt about it. Don't be woolly saying, maybe this, maybe that. Next 3 games, maybe. Win 3 games out of 5, we maybe keep you. I don't think that's the Black Knights or Foley's way. It's like, you're done, you're out, go now. And if we do that, next season is at risk of being another transitional, because even if we get McInnes in, everybody's favourite name getting bandied around, his first season is not going to be super. It took Kelly a couple of years to get their feet, and they've got a settled squad. So next year we're just going to do exactly the same. I think we need to give Nick time. If he does screw it up at the beginning of the season, fair enough. It will be bye-bye. But the players he's got to get in, if he can get players of Marconda's level, or the kind of, that could, I know Marconi's been pretty duff the last few games, but if that's a level, if he gets 4 or 5 players in like that, who knows what could happen? And definitely sort out defence. There's so many gaps in that team right now that need to be filled, and permanently filled.
Are you on the side of kind of giving Montgomery more time? So when we had this call last week, I would say it was, maybe 80-20, 90-10, something like that, in favour of sacking Montgomery.
Yeah,
I
was shouting.
I think things have calmed down a little in the days that have passed. But where do you stand on it?
I was arguing with Martin when I was watching it, and I wish I'd actually dialed in because Martin was winding me up, and I was like, it was like super scoreboard. Where are you at the game? Exactly what you touched on at the start of the show. And it was just like, and it was proven right, because we get pumped to have bloody St Johnstone, and then Drew Motherwell. And it's just like, how can you argue with that kind of stuff? So something needs to change, and I think that's been touched on. Does the fans' attitude need to change a little bit, because it's toxic right now, and social media is not helping. Give them the time, give them the players, give them the budget, or make the change and give it to somebody right now. But again, don't wait until middle of August when we've got League Cup games to play, a squad to settle. So do it now, pull the trigger, or back them. I wish they'd just be a bit more stronger, and I wish Hibs would stop being as reactionary as they are. We're pioneers. Do things first, not last.
Yeah, I really like your point there about being reactionary. John, would you like to have seen Hibs more on the front foot this season with sort of making changes, or sort of being firmer that they're not making changes in the case of sticking by Montgomery?
That's a tricky question to answer. I think because I can't remember exactly when it was that the Black Knight involvement or proposed investment was announced, but I think the suggestion was that any sort of review should have been happening then as part of their proposed investment. And I think, to James's point about Hibs being reactionary, I think that's been my whole point about backing Montgomery and sticking with him, because we've been reactionary. To Colin's point about the number of managers, I think it's something like 6 in the last 8 years, not including the caretakers, which does give the impression of who's actually in charge, what's their plan. Like in a working environment, I've seen replan after replan after replan. You think, Denny, is that, like, it just gives the impression that no one really knows what they're doing, that there's no coherence, there's no strategy about what's going on. And I think, to James's point again, with regards to the statement, whatever the change happens to be with Montgomery, like the thought was formulating as James was describing it. Have Hibs set them up for failure here, no matter what, by not being clear with regards to what's happening with Nick Montgomery? Because they keep him, and you piss off the fan base who want him out. If you let him go now, does that piss people off because you've released a statement saying that the position, that the performances, results need to improve, etc.? It just seems a bit odd. I don't know if that fully answers your question.
Nah, I'll do though. I got bored part of the way through. If I'm honest, I could have switched off and started reading the YouTube comments that were coming in, which will just Lauren Easton said, I think Montgomery has to finish the season on a high, win at least 3 games, including both home games, not lose any games, and play good football, and that can give us a glimmer of optimism and momentum going into the summer. If it doesn't achieve that, his time is up, and not just the manager's time.
So just to expand on that's draw on that and what I was saying. So he wins 3 games, finish the season on a high. Generally, well, I'll go to the room. Like, what do people think? Because there's been a lot of chat that finishing bottom six, it's a failure, it's all the different reasons it's been described. Does winning 3 games in the bottom six feels like going out on a high? Or will people retain that resentment and take it into next season?
The season's done now, I think. Yeah. That's my view, and sort of can you ask the room, and I've just butted in with my bloody opinion, right? So I think there's a load of folk I've just gone in. The season's done. As soon as the full time went on Saturday, they were like, "Fuck it." It almost doesn't matter what happens the rest of the season. Tracy, you got your hand up.
I know, I can't stop talking tonight. I'll go through the living room after this and no speak. Yeah, no, just on that point, but we do still have 5 games and we have to give the players and the manager as much backing as possible as well. You know, at the end of the day, we all want the best for the club. You know, that's why we support them. You know, something drew us to the club that we've probably all supported all our lives. We only want them to do well. So we'll have to give them that back and try and, you know, at least finish 7th. And make sure that it's not any worse. Because at the end of the day, you know, if the manager is here, we're going into next season with them. If, you know, some of the players are there, we're going into next season with them, and we just have to start backing them. I just feel too many people jumped on the bandwagon after 2016, and we've got a lot of younger supporters who haven't seen any of the bad times that we've probably all seen and sat through. I mean, I started watching in 1984, so I've seen a lot of bad stuff.
Definitely no glory hunting there, eh?
So, and they don't get it. You know, it's like my husband supports Celtic, and he'll go to the pub at half time because most of the time he's away at the pub and Celtic he knows they're going to win anyway. So, but it's easy to support a team that wins all the time. It's harder to support a team that's not doing so well, and that's when they need your support. So I think, although the season is generally over, we don't have anything to play for, we've still got a wee bit of pride to play for, and I think we should just back them as much as possible.
Absolutely. Ian, first time on, what are your thoughts on everything that's kind of the statement and what's been discussed so far?
Well, that's a great thing, Matty, about coming on now, because I was frantically, I was really interested in what John, Tracy and Charlie were saying, especially because what Tracy's just been talking about there and back in the team. So I've already got my ticket for St Johnstone and for Ross County, because I always back the team. But it's quite different back in the team as you know, back in the head coach. So I posted on Facebook once a Hibs statement came out. I said, we're crap, we know we're crap, and now we're going to employ consultants to find out why we're crap, you know? Which I thought was, I thought it was embarrassing. But Nick was appointed, he was appointed head coach, he had less than 2 years experience as a head coach. And I felt the same as most people did when he was recruited. I didn't care who he was, but I was prepared to give him 2 years. And I coached at youth level for 10 years, and I was probably good for about the last 2 years. And of course, we've got all the standard performance where we are forming, storming, norming, performing. And I don't think he's anywhere near even norming, you know. So, but it's funny because Charlie was talking about it, and John and yourself, Matty, were talking a wee bit corporate a few podcasts ago. You were talking about performance success criteria. And I think, as Matty was saying, we all get objectives in our job, and if we don't make them, we get put on a performance improvement plan. I remember you saying that, Matty. And I think that's what he's on now. He's on his performance improvement plan. But John and Tracy both, especially John, just actually used the word strategy. And so what the club needs to have a strategy which sort of transcends, it sits above head coach appointments and players. And I'm not aware that we have one. Liam Dempster attempted to get one in place for the recruitment of young players, for instance. And I don't know if you were at that working together meeting, Matty, when I suggested to Rod Petrie. And he laughed when I said that we need to have a strategy whereby we didn't hire and fire young players all the time. And he said, surely you're not saying that the manager can't bring their own players. And I said, aye, Rod, that's exactly what I'm saying. You know, because we've had so many young and inexperienced players released because a new head coach came in. And you had an episode not long ago where you couldn't even remember some of them, which was funny, actually. But the strategy, as well, Ken, a strategy of states the objectives and the principles we adopt to get us there. And then we put an annual plan in place for the club to work towards the objectives. I hated Eddie Turnbull when he got rid of Jimmy O'Rourke, but he did that because we didn't win the league. And that was clearly the agreed objective. So as far as Nick Montgomery is concerned, as far as Nick's concerned, being a boss, if you're a people manager, you're responsible for your team's performance. Many of us have been bosses or are bosses, and you're responsible for your team's performance. You develop them, you motivate them, you support them, and you discipline them if you need to. But their performance is your responsibility. You're the boss, your responsibility, and it's Nick's responsibility. We can't blame the players. And I just feel in some of these interviews, I've lost faith in them. I really have. So maybe we'll be in ecstasy if we win 3 games of the next game. But I'll be there anyway. But it's a good discussion. I really feel we need a strategy. The club needs to have a strategy which sits above season to season.
Would you have expected that strategy to have become more apparent when we brought in Brian McDermott as director of football, Ian?
Exactly right. That's exactly right. So Brian McDermott, he should be responsible for making sure the club has a football strategy. That's your job. If you're the head of the football department, you have to put that in place. I mean, it's absolutely nuts, because how else does the people that work for you actually know, right, where they should be going? You've got to give the people that report to you direction. And Nick Montgomery is not a manager. He's a head coach. He's a head coach. He was appointed head coach. So he's not a manager. He's not there to manage. He's there to coach. And whereas obviously Brian McDermott is the person who's meant to be the manager. Yeah.
What would you like to see for this review, then, Ian? Like, because I think from what you were talking about there, I would expect the Black Knight Football Club to be coming in and sort of interrogating Hibs in those regards and looking for improvement. What sort of thing do you expect them to uncover?
I expect them to come in and say, "Where's your strategy? What's your objectives? You know, are you going to try and win the league? Are you going to be, as you've said over the past few episodes, are you going to try and just be the best of the rest? Are you going to try and qualify for Europe? What are we aiming to do as a club?" And it's got to be, we must qualify for Europe. We have to, as a bare minimum. We definitely have to aim for minimum 3rd place. And I think we should actually be, long term, in our strategy, we should be trying to win the league. So I think we should be trying to win the league. I think, as you know, Matty, I worked at Rangers for 5 years. I worked at Rangers from 91 to 96. And I saw when I worked in Rangers, you know, there was a lot of bullshit going on, but equally a lot of determination. They weren't brilliant at everything, but there was so much determination in the club. And that's got to be within our objectives, within our strategy. So I want Black Knight to come in and say, "Where the fuck is your strategy?" You know?
That determination piece is interesting, because I think that looks like something that's been missing. You know, when we lose the last minute goals, in the dying seconds, Colin, you touched on it after the Motherwell game on Saturday, about players just having that determination to clear a ball or get a block in. And I think I get what you're saying. When you've got a club that's driving in the one direction and they knows what they're trying to achieve, that's when you can get that determination. Leon, I'm going to bring you in. You're kind of last but not least, of course. What do you want to say?
No, I've just been sitting listening to everybody. So just a lot of good points in that. I think starting with the statement and that, people talking about 3 games and time scales, things like that. I don't think the club would want to hand a ticking time bomb to anybody. Be saying you've got 3 games to buck your ideas up, or you've got a month to buck your ideas up, or you've got the end of the season to buck your ideas up. Because then what happens is the fan base just manipulate that to how they want it to be seen. Yeah. And they'll say, "Well, so you said that he should have been sacked by that time, and he should have had this many points by that time, and he never done this, he never done that." I feel the statement was fine, done as I always said. The results aren't good enough. The results need to improve. Full stop. That's simple. That needed to be said. They've made it public and saying it, as in getting to the manager. They're saying, "Look, we're not happy with his performances. He's out there shouting for his seat, get him sacked." But we are not to sack him. We understand the results are not good enough. We've told him the results are not good enough. They'll be telling them this every day, every week, after every result. They're clearly backing them, because if they weren't backing them, they wouldn't be here. Him no qualifying for the top six would have been the most perfect opportunity for the club to swing the axe, and then nobody would have questioned it. Everybody would have said, you know what, they've got to finish top six. That's they've sacked them. That's what they've done it. You know, just talking about strategies. The Hibs strategy since the Gordons have came in has always been, they've always said they want to finish in the top four. Top four every season has been their target every season, and that's in the league. That is the league strategy. They want to finish in the top four and qualify for Europe, and they've said that for day one since they've came in, and that is their strategy. Now, I feel the biggest issue we've had at this club is recruitment for day one, and late recruitment. No, it looks unorganised from the outside, working in windies we shouldn't be working in. So a lot of times we're pulling in players maybe at a decent quality, but we're having to wait to the very end to bring them in. Some of them are coming off. I feel the centre half situation in January, if Bevan never got injured, he would have came in. Now, we didn't know this lad if Adam, we didn't know how good he is, but if he was anywhere as good or still an impact in Mariah Welsh for Bournemouth, then we'd have been top six. Absolutely no doubt about that. Now, whether they've put all their eggs in one basket stupidly, and then the last minute they've had to pull in the laddie for Sunderland, Triantis has obviously looked better in midfield, if you want to call it better, than centre half. But is it more the fact that they've had to pull him in as cover? Maybe even brought him in, maybe they were bringing him in as the two, him and Bevan, being like, look, we'll bring the laddie Triantis in, he's got a wee bit of boot on, we can sort of put him in and out, and then they've had to rely on him. And we didn't ken the workings yet and the workings of recruitment. But for me, there's no coincidence at all that the Black Knights were there in January. The recruitment was miles better. They brought in 3 players that have made a difference. I mean, Marcondes is obviously a bit of a grey area. I don't know if he has made a difference or no. But he's obviously looked more like a Pontido than a call pass at times, so that's his biggest issue. So, but I think if he's obviously just maybe a bit more unfit than the rest. That's why he was showing it in patches. Maizan's obviously came in and absolutely, I mean, been a revelation if you want to look at it in simple stats. The goals he's scored, he's just became a top goal scorer at the weekend, which is absolutely madness. Now, if you're going to continue that recruitment into the summer, there's no reason they shouldn't back the manager with better players. Because they, like I say, if they feel that they can match it with better players, it'll probably work out. It'll maybe even work out to the extent that they can get them far enough along that they can maybe get them sniffing around and try and get them bumped off to our club if they want to sack them. But if that's their strategy. But I felt the statement was fine. I felt it's obviously everybody's emotional and upset, so folk will pick at it and look at it the way they want. And if they've been doing well, if I'd finished 4th and they're saying, we're going to have a review of the football club and all this, blah, 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 folk would be like, oh, this is fantastic, what a great statement. They're actually reviewing the club when we're in a position of strength. And it's easy to pick at things, but nobody kens the full information, in my opinion.
I'll come back to you in a second. He's got his hand up. Ian, what do you want to come in on there? And by the way, James, I'm about to see Mary, your dog.
Just what Leon's saying there about like Marcondes, for instance. I mean, I think we're all agreed that Marcondes was very poor in the last couple of games. But I didn't care if you were at Ibrox, but after the Ibrox match, I mean, I was horrified at our lack of fight there. And my immediate reaction when I got back on the bus in the car park was, I think all these good players we brought recently, they'll now realise how hopeless it is that they've come to a club who's going to lie down just when it gets to a big occasion. Because that was the first time that these players have played in that stadium that size, with that big a crowd, etc. And I just thought they underperformed. They should have. I thought they would revel in it. I thought we could beat Rangers. And I thought the big players that we just recruited would actually outperform our normal players. And I was so disappointed. And I thought they'll probably just pack up mentally and leave at that point.
I agree with what you're saying. I agree with. I think Marcondes I thought he was the boy that we were like, he's the kind of guy that should be able to open up defences and go to places like Ibrox and actually perform, and he never. I mean, my biggest worry with this side all season is there's no spine in that team. There's nothing through the middle. There's no, and the leadership's been lacking. The fact that we've lost so many goals late on, it's shown a lot of immaturity on the pitch, and the spine, the sheer spine of the team, right through the middle. The goalkeeper, centre half, centre midfielder, even up top at times, there's always been missing two of these areas weekly. I think he got again. I'm not even sold on Marcondes anymore. When he first came in, I was like, "Oh, I'll tell you what, give that guy whatever he wants, and if we can put the boat out and obviously pay him what he needs to be paid, we could have a." I mean, Bill Kenny's a good player, but we're like, we could actually be pulling on a player that shouldn't be even playing at a level. Now again, but then again, is it fitness? What is it? The guys have only been here for 5 minutes essentially, and they've not pre-seasons, and I wouldn't even argue they're match fit at times, but I do agree with you. There's games at Ibrox and that I was expecting after even the cup performance when we got knocked out in doing the 9 men. I thought even at 9 men we looked like we could have got a goal. So I was very confident. And yet again against a team like Rangers, we went in their shell and just didn't even look like Hasselham. And we weirdly seem to be the only team that hasn't.
You and Ross County managed it. James, you've got your hands up there. You want to come in?
Yeah, just expanding on what's been said. I mean, you'll probably. And Ferguson, when he went to Aberdeen, this is how old I've been watching football. Aberdeen used to go to Ibrox and just lay down. Basically, what we're doing now, just show no fight, no spirit. He changed the mentality. We're not going there. We're not going to be happy with a draw. We're going to go there and try and win. And I don't see Hibs going anywhere and scaring anybody. And when was the last time we had a player who put the fear into the defence? I think Nisbet's probably the closest we got to that. But it's been a long time since we've had a player who really draws respect from the opposition. In this squad at the moment, Ewan on glimpses, Boyleby's pace, but that seems to have dropped. Malida's the only one I'm enjoying watching. I said third top goal scorer in the team. He's only been here since January. Is embarrassing. And as I said, if we can get players that can start putting fear into teams, I think we'll never even think about bottom six again, but we need to get Hibs a team who are scared to play against, because at the moment teams turn up at Easter Road and go, we could win this. This is quite easy here. It's a cracking little ground, great little pitch. Defence is soft. We've got plenty of space. We could do something here. We go to, let's say, Ibrox. We should be putting up at least a fight. We're not. We're going to, St Johnstone, God, next week. Last time there was embarrassing. Not a single shot on goal. Okay, the goal came for a past mistake. We could have got away with a draw. Get away with a draw for St Johnstone? Come on. We should have done better than that.
100%. Leon?
See that thing as well. See people were told we're going to bring a manager and similar to what Aberdeen have just done, but we give them time and it's going to be a better project. Do you think folk would accept that?
It's a good question. We had a bit of that chat on the group, didn't we? Like the other day. Colin, I suppose Colin and John, because we were talking a wee bit about this on Saturday night when we recorded Longbangers, about how accepted Hibs fans would be if they were told this is going to be a couple of years. Colin, do you think folk would stand for it?
I think it would have to be. I think this is a bit of, I've mentioned that a few times, where the club struggle a bit is communication. So that statement, like, so they'd need to come out and say, this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it, this is how long it's got to be, this is the fucking objective strategy, all the things, that's what we're doing, and that's how it is, and we're not changing it no matter how loud you shout, because the club do react to fan noise. Right, they've done it with McDermott getting in, they've done it with sacking Jack Ross, they've done it with sacking other managers, they've done it with this statement. It's in this statement, back to that statement, I thought it was all right, but actually listening to this, I'm thinking they have left it open because we've heard he needs to win 3 games. They did single out the manager. I hadn't really thought about it, but they had, so that there's things there, but we're now going, he needs to win 3 games, and you go, well, they never said that in the statement, so we've made that up, assumed it, and it's never been said anywhere. It's read between the lines. So the statement wasn't good enough. So if we were going to do, back to the question, do something and say, we'll get somebody in, here's 3 years, doesn't matter how much you moan about it, but explain all that other stuff already rattled off, then it would come to the point where you said on Saturday, which is you just ignore them, the ones that are going to be continually picking at it, negative and moaning, because you just need to ignore them and get on with it and say, no, that's what we're doing. We said 3 years, it's fucking only a year in, not changing it. And actually believe themselves in their own strategy.
Yeah.
Because it feels at the moment they don't and they react to noise.
Do you think that if they had like added to the statement and saying something like we always see Nick as our project and we had given him a 3-year contract on the premise that we thought that near the and we would like to see progress, and at the end of the 3 years we would like to be, we think as a club we will be where we want to be under the management of Nick Montgomery. See if they added that to that statement, do you think everybody would have been obviously being like, why did you not tell us? But like, what would you think about? They be a bit more accepting it?
Nah, I think they would have said, should have said it at the time. It's like you're rewriting history there, isn't it? It's like a bit of gaslighting. Like if they said that when he joined, it was like, we've got a guy who's just been successful, so now he's not being successful. You're saying we always expected it to take 3 years. I think they would have got criticism there. I think they could frame it as we thought he would have quicker success, although as part of this work that we're doing, we can see that there are other problems that are preventing it. So we're going to work with them to give them the platform for success. That might swing it.
Because everyone is a project, isn't it? Essentially, like everyone, even players coming in, everyone's a project. But Neil Lennon's switching. But it's all back to communication again. I think that seems to be the final detail that if they can get the communication a wee bit better, it might swing folk. But I still feel that it doesn't get through the folk that usually allow this on social media anyway.
I think that's be the ones, but you'd maybe filter it out, and you would maybe get. I'm even looking, Leon, at this statement the other night, and I'm picking up for this group certainly that folk are feeling a bit more sympathetic to Nick Montgomery after the statement. So maybe it was intended to be written that way to get some sympathy for him, like when they done the
why does everybody
the
hate
Rocky,
me?
the Rocky thing. Aye. So maybe it was deliberate or otherwise. You know, I just think communication needs to be much better. And I'm not saying tell us everything, tell us why, but tell us what you're doing. Tell us the strategy, objectives. Maybe I don't know if they can. There'll be some they can't tell you, but strategy, objectives. Here's what we're doing. Here's what's happening. Shut the fuck up. We're not changing just because you start shouting loud. We will ignore you.
I genuinely think it's actually swung folks' opinions, and because it's actually taking the pressure off Nick a wee bit, I think, and put it back onto the club itself, and being like, folk are now barking at the club and not so much at the manager. And like you said, listening to everybody before I got my chance to talk, I was like, this is actually the difference to the manager. This is actually swung folk back in his favour, which could be an absolutely fantastic play with the club. They're sitting there smoking a cigar saying, I told you this was going to happen.
With the Black Knights tilt, right?
Aye, that's right. The Burton's coming for them. Ian, I'll come to you next, and then Tracy, I'll bring you in after Ian.
I was, as I said, I was very supportive of giving them 2 years. The problem is that, as well as what you said in the last couple of podcasts, which is he's improved nothing, because he literally has improved nothing. He's never developed any players, whatever. He's not made any of them better. But also, the thing that's got me, Matty, is the fact that his demeanour after the games has just got worse and worse. And I doubt very much, because of the way he comes over in the interviews, I'm beginning to doubt whether he has the respect of the players, whether the players feel that he is capable of doing something. Because I certainly, given his demeanour, I would not be confident in his abilities. It really worries me when you start coming out with some of the nonsense, almost Lee Johnson-esque stuff that he's come out with. And so it really, really worries me. And that's why I think I've turned from being completely supportive to now I just don't have faith in him at all now. And it's because of the way he behaves after the matches.
Tracy, I'll come to you next.
Just really picking up, because a few people have talked about communication from the club. Obviously, everybody wanted the statement. then people moaned about the statement. We're never happy as Hibs supporters. We don't have patience. We never want to give anybody time. But I think sometimes a lot of the wrong stuff gets leaked as well.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. Like, if somebody's going to sign, I want to be able to see that once they've put you know, they've got the scarf above the head and the rest of it, and it's shown that they've signed their contract. I don't want to hear that somebody's mentioned it in Lucerne or somebody's mentioned it in Blackpool, or, you know what I mean? I don't like that. I think there's too much gets leaked. And then the stuff that we really want to know and want communicated, it seems to take forever to get that out of the club as well. So I think we just need to get the right balance with that as well. But yeah, communication, God, it's like everywhere. It's in society. Everybody would rather message or email than pick up a phone and directly speak to people. And there's probably not enough of that with the club as well. You know, there's not enough like going into the Hibs club.
Yeah.
And, you know, and speaking to supporters, you know, everything's done all over online and the rest of it. And I think there could be, you know, not everybody's in hospitality every week. And the rest of it. So a lot of people don't get privy to that. Like, we didn't get privy to find out the plans for the new famous 5 stand, because unless you've paid hard cash for hospitality, you got an invite. And I think they've got to get back to the values of the club, what the club actually was built on, what it means to the good, hard-working people that are actually have stuck with the club all these years and will be. It's not always just the hospitality folk that are going to be there and the corporate sponsors. We're the ones that do it because for the love of the club. But I think maybe a wee bit more face-to-face on the ground, match days, speaking to supporters, and just finding out how people feel. I think they'll get a real feel on where they should be moving the club.
I totally agree. Leon, you were just ahead of Charlie with your hand up, so Charlie, I'll come to you just after Leon.
Tracy's absolutely spot on. I think it's like it's so self-destructive, this support at times, that the amount of rumours that started the Hibs fans just want to get a wee bit of one-upmanship in group chats or on like .net and things like that, and you see some of the stuff and you're like, some of it's ridiculous. Folk making up take emails and I'm like, who the fuck's got the time to do that shit, genuinely, and who wants to see that shit, right? And I'm like, and it is self-destructive. It's very much like, I see it as like hating the club. Now, why would you want to date? Why would you want to make a lie and bullshit about something that is 100% a lie, just to make the club look bad? I mean, that's no supporting the club. Again, like, it really frustrates me.
Are you talking about the email that was leaked from Ben? You talking about this one?
There's loads, but I didn't even care if that could be right.
That was legitimate. That one, so I can vouch for that one. I
know there's loads. I mean, there's loads of other stuff as well, but it's like things that could well be real. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, but it's like just loads of stuff. There's always something going on about stuff, even like the 3 game thing. Yeah, the earlier on the statement and that. Kind of folks saying, "Oh, I've heard 3 days. I've heard 3 days too." I'm like, somebody said that to somebody, and then somebody's passed it on, and because somebody else has passed it on, it becomes the truth. And I'm like, it's just fucking nonsense all the time. And
it's like this 3 wins thing. This 3 wins thing that we've mentioned a few times in here. It's like
that's literally what he was just talking about, Colin.
Aye, fucking hell, I was half listening.
No, it's true.
I was listening. How did I not hear that?
I don't know, Kim. It's like 3
wins.
Like those 3 wins.
Aye, but how did I not hear that? Aye, fucking hell, Leon, man, your voice has just gone right through me. Yeah?
Sorry, mate.
I'll bring Charlie in. Cheers, Leon.
I think going back to what Tracy said there about communication, I think it's everyone's seen the email that Lee Johnson had been sacked before it got announced. That is, we need to, I think if the club need to move forward, I think we need to find out who leaked that and get them out the door. I didn't care if it was.
I think that happened already, Charlie, mate. I think that ship sailed, aye.
Well, that's not being communicated, see what I mean? But no, I think stuff like that can't be getting leaked. And I think even with this review, like, regardless, I want to hear if it Hibs before I hear if it's a supporter. Like, there's some stuff that you didn't want to hear from fans, and that's one of them. I think that's really it. Like, we can't keep going on this people in the know and all that rubbish that gets bandied about. But it's just like the club needs to tell us what we need to hear rather than hearing it from others.
It is like a race to share stuff. Some folk are desperate to get it out first, don't they? Jeff, I know you put your hand up now on the screen, but I saw you raising your hand. I wasn't sure if you were waving to somebody off camera, and in case you thought I was ignoring you, I did clock it. I was going to ask you once I got around to Charlie and Leon there, but now you have figured out how to put your hand up on the screen. I can come to you, and I know you're definitely wanting to join in.
Yes, I was. Yeah, I was just waving to my imaginary friend. Hello. I've got several of them. Completely lost my train of thought now. Communication in any organisation. I'm sure we've all worked for companies where the communication is bad. You don't get the good performance from your team, whether that's up or down. I've run teams. I've been part of teams. Always try to make sure everybody knows that needs to know what's going on. With Hibs, it seems to be that the people that need to know sometimes don't know, and those that don't need to know find out before those that do need to know, which is not a very good communication strategy. Now, I did slag Ben off a bit earlier on, maybe a bit harsh on him, but the whole statement thing, we're still talking about the statement, is it's just left too many loopholes for me. It's an open-ended one, but just communication is poor. I was always told when I did my leadership course in that you moan up the way, as I said to you when I think I emailed you. Never moan or gossip down the way. Now, I'm not saying Ben's above us or anyone, but he should be moaning up to the Gordons or the Black Knights, not moaning down the way about players he wants to get rid of or so-and-so or managers. That's poor in my book. That's not the way I would run a team or run an organisation.
Spot on. Okay, I just realised I forgot to record this. I've got to put this out as a podcast episode, and it's a fucking hard job doing that if you've not recorded it. So hopefully I'm going to be able to download it off of YouTube and do it that way. I'm sure I'll figure it out. Anyway, we're out of time. Everybody, thanks very much for giving up your time to come on tonight. Really enjoyed listening to the different views as always. Hopefully this review does the trick, and this time next year we're all on talking about who we're going to get in the Champions League draw and all this kind of stuff. Aye, right. at least in the top 6, we'll take that. Right, thanks very much. Thanks for tuning in, folks, and we will see you next time.